Welcome into CyHawk Talk here on a Sunday. Ben got in his last round of golf before the show, so we're recording a little bit later than usual. So if I look like I have bags under my eyes, it's because I've been wearing my Sunday's best all day and I just haven't been able to get comfortable. Didn't get that Sunday afternoon nap like I used normally do. Just kidding. I don't sleep on Sundays. It's football day. Happy to be talking Cyclones with Ben. Ben, how'd you shoot today?
We played a little scramble. There were four of us out there, and we were +3 for 18 holes. So three over at Coldwater. Not bad when it's 54 degrees outside. It got a little chilly.
Not bad. You're three over. That's one less than how many consecutive games Iowa State has lost. What is going on, Ben, with the Cyclones?
It's bad. It's tough, Ethan. It's not fun to be a Cyclone football fan, a Cyclone right now. The vibes were not great in the post-game press conferences. I talked to Rocco Becht, man, and Becht is generally an uplifting, positive guy who just does such a good job of shouldering the weight of this program. And Becht, man, you could see it on his face. He was hurting. He didn't play his best game. He, is a big part in the reason why the Cyclones lost 24-19. But everything about this team is just not getting it done right now, and it's part of the reason why the pain was so evident on his face.
You mentioned Rocco Becht and maybe showing a little bit of the emotional pain he was feeling. You think that he's 100% right now? I've seen some speculation online from some Cyclone fans that maybe they don't think he's 100%, maybe stemming back to the big hit he took in that Cincinnati loss. I know you had some stuff from Matt Campbell about Rocco last night. Well, give us the full full rundown on what's going on with the quarterback.
It's such an interesting conundrum because we've seen a real dip in a lot of Rocco's stats. I wrote that story on the Quad City Times. You should definitely go check it out. In these last four games, he has his worst four quarterback percentage ratings, all of those kinds of things, and the counting stats have dropped off too. And I don't think anybody is 100% at this point in the football season, especially Rocco Becht, who puts his body on the line. I think maybe he's been feeling they ran him twice, in the red zone, which has been kind of the thing when Beck's healthy, and he's able to run and score touchdowns with his legs in the red zone. That's been a huge piece in the Cyclone offense. So to see Becht, run twice, he dove for the pylon again on a 7-yard touchdown run. I thought that was a positive sign in terms of maybe how he's feeling. I don't know if we would have seen him do that a couple games ago when the concussions were a storyline and stuff with Rocco. So I don't think he's probably 100% right now, but I don't think he needs to be 100% to play well enough to win, which just isn't happening right now.
I should also clarify that I'm not only seeing that on social media, that was also the speculation I got last weekend when I saw my great aunt Anne, who is the only family member that lives here in eastern Iowa that I have. So my great aunt Anne also thinks that Rocco Becht playing a little bit hurt. Speaking of injuries, obviously tight end Benjamin Brahmer goes down with that really scary injury, but sounds like a pretty positive update. What's the latest on the stud tight end for the Cyclones?
Last night, Brahmer was released at around 5 o'clock from Mary Greeley, the hospital. He was checked out and evaluated. That's the extent of the press release we got. Ethan, what was he evaluated for? You can only speculate. But I don't think anybody liked what they saw when a guy gets up from a big hit and then collapses again. Immediate cart coming out. Very scary situation. People who have been covering the Cyclones a lot longer than I have said that was, eerily quiet in Jack Trice Stadium. Maybe the quietest it's ever been. When a guy like Brahmer, who missed all that time last year, comes back this season and is having such a successful year, gets hurt like that, maybe you think the worst. You honestly do with a scary situation like that. So glad to see Benjamin Brahmer released from the hospital. For what it's worth, on social media, a couple of the guys were joking about it, I think a little bit with their Instagram caption. He got his reboot was a Fortnite reference from one of the linebackers, Kale Brazina. So if they're joking about it, it makes me feel a little bit better about Bramer's, long-term and perhaps short-term status. I guess it remains to be seen. We'll hopefully get a lot more on that on Tuesday from Matt Campbell.
And before we get to your grade, just to put a bow on Iowa State's loss to Arizona State, and I kind of teased it on Wednesday with my unfortunate history with Jeff Sims as the quarterback of my Nebraska Cornhuskers a couple of years ago. I knew just how turnover prone the guy was, and at one point you sent me a message. Jeff Sims is Jeff Simsing, and I think that was when he'd had back-to-back turnovers, a fumble and then an interception, I believe. And one a real brutal interception because it came right before the half, and Iowa State instantly got into field goal range and didn't end up coming away with points. It just felt like they had their opportunities. What's your takeaway in terms of the takeaways that they were able to force yesterday, and still not being able to get the win?
Yeah, Ethan, it was the first time Iowa State's forced a turnover since the Cincinnati game. Since this whole losing streak started, it had been nearly a month since Iowa State forced a fumble against Tawi Walker. And, they finally got one, and then a second, and then a third on Saturday. But like I wrote in my three takeaways, it wasn't enough. And you're exactly right. That interception came at the end of the first half, and the fumble came on the drive right before it. So the fumble set Iowa State up in a great position. Rocco Becht actually hit Benjamin Brahmer for a touchdown in that series. And then, on the next drive, Jeff Sims throws a deep interception. The Cyclones get in position to kick a 55-yard field goal and perhaps take the lead into halftime, which would have been an absurd thought considering, maybe how you just looked at both teams' performance. But Iowa State was unable to capitalize on the 55-yard attempt. And yeah, three turnovers for the first time in a month, and it wasn't enough. The Cyclones weren't able to convert and make enough points happen off of those.
We'll go ahead and get into Ben's grades on Iowa State versus Arizona State right after this.
Yeah, he's a big target for me in the red zone. Big guy in the run game. Who can put his head down and go block for us. We're just happy that guy's all right. He's conscious, and we'll miss that guy. He'll be back better than ever.
Have you gotten to interact with him in any way at all, or how's that information coming along to you?
Not yet. That's just what the coaches are saying right now. He's in the hospital, conscious. He's doing well right now, so that's all that matters.
Welcome back to CyHawk Talk here on a Sunday, doing a Sunday rewind. Ben, go ahead and finish us off with your grades for Iowa State.
Yeah, I guess I was homeschooled, Ethan, so I never had the quarterly grades where you bring home your report card. But the last quarter of grades, the last four games for the Cyclones, the last month of football, I wouldn't want to bring that report card home to my mom. It's another bad one for the Cyclones after a loss, and it starts with Rocco Becht. I'm giving him a D for his performance. And the stats, you can look at him: 18 of 36, 50% completions, 186 yards, one touchdown, one interception, and he added another rushing touchdown. It's just not good enough. And that's not me saying that. That's Rocco Becht saying that. We asked him for his self-assessment, and he said, very shortly, hey, it's not good enough. And that's all I got to say about that. I think Rocco is taking it hard. Read all about it in the Quad City Times. I kind of asked, what makes Rocco Becht the guy Matt Campbell feels like he should stick with through the highs and the lows of the season? And Matt said it's exactly that. It's the highs and the lows that he handles it with. So I'm not expecting a quarterback change by any means, but Rocco Becht, another failing performance for him. And Iowa State, they didn't stop the run. Jeff Sims, this was maybe the most frustrating part, where Arizona State shot itself in the foot just as much, maybe even more than the Cyclones did, except some of these big plays, the 88-yard touchdown run, and Sims just carrying the ball really hurt Iowa State, even after Arizona State was pretty much a one-dimensional offense. You would have really liked to see Iowa State do a better job stopping the run. The Sims legacy game just happened to be in Jack Trice Stadium on Saturday, and then forcing turnovers. Iowa State gets an A for that. The defense, did it. The defense did it. Will McLaughlin played awesome, the linebacker. He wasn't even 100%, and he comes in and forces that fumble and sets the offense up in excellent position. It's just not enough. Maybe they needed four to get this job done, but it was definitely a positive sign for the defense to finally see some turnovers starting to pop up.
quote of the post-game press conference from Kenny Dillingham, Arizona State head coach: Jeff Sims is a really good football player. I'm actually happy to see him playing well. It was a rough season. That was year one of Matt Rule. It was a rough night last night for Husker fans, but that first season was pretty tough. And then if we were to do a Sunday's headline today on Sunday, I didn't give you any future projections, but here's a big Sunday headline for you. Fox big noon kickoff coming to Iowa City for Iowa versus Oregon. It's not a ranked matchup. Iowa stayed outside of the top 25. It's going to be incredible if they beat Oregon, because they could go from unranked to top 15, and they will be in the college football playoff discussion at that point. So it could be a pretty meteoric rise for the Hawkeyes if they're able to jump up. If you recall, Ben did a nice story, did actually a couple of nice stories and really good coverage when Big Noon Kickoff was in Ames at Jack Trice Stadium for the CyHawk game. So it's the second time that crew will see the Hawkeyes this year. So that's something to look forward to. I'm not sure what the situation is in terms of the pit and getting in there and the signs and all that stuff. We'll have more coverage of that as the week goes on. So a lot of stuff to look forward to this week. If you don't see us on Wednesday, that is because my wife had a baby and I was unavailable to record. If you do see us on Wednesday, we hope that you enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. We'll be back.